Hi, this is Daniela Wolf with Bestie Life, the podcast, and this is your community to support you through the little and not so little events that make up your day-to-day life. From the I've got this moments to the I just can't moments. We are here to empower all women to find and develop the skills they need to find peace, balance, and the bliss in their busy. Through solo episodes as well as interviews with amazing women who share their journey and their story and how it works for you. I hope you find the inspirations to make you laugh, think, as well as maybe rethink what you thought you knew, and connect as we realize that we are all living similar ups and downs and don't have to do it alone. So excited for you to hear this episode, and thanks so much for joining me today. Hi, this is Daniela back with Bestie Life, the podcast. And today I'm with Renee Harris. I'm so excited for you to meet her. She is a mom of 9, ages 6 to 24. She homeschools. She runs a business as well, MadeOn Skin Care, which is an all-natural, organic skincare line that I'm so excited for her to share with you, as well as just in addition to how she manages it all, how she handles juggling all these different roles that she plays and everything like that. So thank you so much, Renee, for joining me today.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to this.
So if you could share a little bit more kind of background in your story of how you came to go from mom and homeschool to being a business owner and CEO.
Yeah, I definitely didn't plan this when I was, in high school, saying, what's your life going to look like in 10, 20, 30 years? So yeah, it's definitely kind of evolved over time. And with the skincare line, it was just a product that I hit on accidentally, but it was something that my skin needed. I have really dry, cracked skin in my fingers and my heels. And so I came across this recipe that would fix that after trying the Band-Aids and the overnight gloves and all kinds of lotions and emollients and bag balm and everything that I was hoping would fix my fingers. And I have, obviously, like you said, 9 kids means there are a lot of diapers to change and a lot of hand washing going on. So with that, it was called a lotion bar. It's a 3-ingredient skincare product that is just beeswax, shea butter, and coconut oil. And then not really thinking to spread anything of that beyond my own household, my own skin. But then we had a farmer's market come to town and they were looking for vendors, and we were homeschooling our kids. My oldest 2 at the time were 8 and 10. So we didn't have as many kids then. And I thought, well, this would be a good experience for them to come and help me. And we'll see if we can actually sell something at a farmer's market, not to try to make a ton of money or anything, but just the experience was what I was looking for.
Yeah.
And turned out that we ended up loving it. To fast forward till a couple of years later, my husband got laid off in his job and he was in the tech field. And we decided we would either have to move from the area that we love here in Northern California to a bigger city where he could pick up another tech job, or throw it all in and make this an online e-commerce business and sell online. So we opted for the second, and everything changed with that. So didn't expect to do that, but everything changed. And that was in 2009. And we've been rolling along ever since.
That's awesome. And I love the fact that you include the kids, because I think that's sometimes where some of the struggle and guilt comes from, is like, how do I find the time for it when I've got kids and other things, as opposed to kind of folding them in and really including them as part of the process.
Yeah, that mom guilt. I mean, even today, it's so real. The mom guilt of your kid wants your attention. And when you're homeschooling, it's just that much more, even though you can say, well, I'm spending 24 hours a day with you. Let me go over here and do my thing. So yeah, we've definitely figured things out with that. And just how much the kids have grown by being helpful and learn from us as far as running the business goes. It's become, since 2009 all the way till now, we have really found the amazing blessing of being able to run a business from home, involve the kids, teach them. And now my 5 older kids, who are all now on their own, are running their own businesses independently, just their own unique things that they're doing.
That's fantastic. And I, just the fact that what you modeled, what you guys lived, really impacted who they've become and who they've chosen to be and things like that. Just curiously, like how, what were some of the struggles when it came to initially trying to budget your time and find that balance between being their teacher, being their mom, being a business owner, and just being you?
I think initially it was actually the biggest struggle was actually changing roles between my husband and myself, because he had been, even though he was able to work from home, he definitely was in his office doing his thing, working. And I was in the other room, homeschooling, doing the things with the kids. And we had our separate spaces. And then and even from the farmer's market, it took about 2 years between the farmer's market and then launching this into full time when he stopped his job there. So we had the 2 years of I was still doing the homeschooling and I was starting this business online, but I'm also the one kind of the forefront of the business. I'm communicating, I'm women talking to women. And then to suddenly switch this and find out, okay, what is his role going to be? I mean, he's got the tech background, so he can do some of the tech stuff, but how much could he help me as far as like, can he communicate with the people that I was communicating with? And I turned out to be kind of a micromanager. So I didn't realize I was like that, but I would stop him from like, I don't know if you could email it that way. You got to say it this way. So here I'm managing my husband, trying to raise the kids. And so we had to come to terms with what our role is going to be. So he ended up taking a lot more of the homeschooling on, and then still supporting me in the business side. And that actually helped a lot as we started to grow both of those. And we learned to really, communication was huge, because we had to check in on each other and see how we're doing. Because sometimes I would feel the load of that responsibility of bringing the income. And he wanted to help with that, but there's only so much he could really do. And then he's doing the homeschooling that I had been doing. And I was a high school teacher in the past. That was my background. So I would want to nitpick and say, no, don't do it that way. And so we finally, and I feel like this was an amazing that by him taking on the role as the teacher and raising the kids as far as what they would be doing, he didn't want them to have face the same kind of difficulties that he had. He had, multiple degrees, highly educated in a tech field, but not enjoying the work that he was doing when he was at work. He had so much more he could bring to the table at work that was being stifled. And so he wanted the kids to be able to do something that they loved. And if college is part of that, that's okay. But we weren't going to be a slave to education, which is part of the whole homeschooling opportunity you have. You don't have to be a slave to the books and the tests and the expectations. You're in charge. You get to be in charge of that. So he developed their talents more. So he became a lot more focused on, what are you good at? What do you enjoy doing? How can you bring value to our family, to our business? And we're going to build that up. And then history is going to get done with that, and math and science, but it's going to be driven by their passions and their interests first. So his role became really important, and we're benefiting from that with the kids, because we aren't paying, we're not paying student debt. We aren't having to pay for them to stay and live with us because they can't find a job. They took off. So over the years, we've developed that, and we became really good coworkers together too. So now he's a lot more involved in the lotion business, but then we've also developed something on the side as far as teaching parents how to raise the kids that way, the way that we did with ours, and showing how that looks. So we're a lot more partners together now, but the struggle was in the beginning for sure. That was probably the hardest time for us.
Right. And I'm so glad you share that, because I think sometimes it's hard to figure out, how to ask for help. And especially then when roles change and different things like that, to be able to really find that groove of communication and to really be able to connect in a way that still works and still functions and doesn't kind of overtake the other. And just, when dynamics change, there's always kind of like that place where, okay, we need to talk through this and not just kind of ignore the elephant in the room, so to speak.
Right. And because the kids would notice that too, in fact, if anything, my older two probably did notice the tension in the room, at the time of having, we're trying to figure out this different roles that we're taking on. But then as we got better at it and made changes and improved on that, the kids got to see that and be part of that too. So obviously things had to change with the kids too. Who's in charge? Can I still try to work mom against dad and dad against mom, which easily happens with any family. But once they kind of figured out, okay, well, mom's in charge of this, dad's in charge of that. And yet we would check in with each other to make sure we're all on the same page. It really made things smoother.
And I love those questions you asked that you said you built into like your homeschooling when it came to the kids about who you are, what do you like, where's your passion? Because I feel like that's stuff that as moms, sometimes we give up for ourselves, and I love that you not only integrated it back in with your kids, but I think it probably brought it to the forefront for you when you were developing that with them, to remember that for yourselves, because we do sometimes just follow the degrees, follow the job, follow the paycheck, and lose sight of the bigger picture of, but am I happy? Does this bring me joy?
Do I want to be doing this the rest of my life? It's probably like a driving question too. Yeah.
Yeah. And I know people have even talked about like differences in some of the generations where, this generation maybe doesn't stay with jobs for 20, 30 years the way maybe some past ones have. And I think it's because some of these conversations are happening more frequently when it comes to, what lights you up, what do you enjoy, and to not have that fear of letting go of what for the unknown. I think they're maybe a little bit more willing to take some of those risks. And, as you've shown, like sometimes the benefits outweigh the traditional.
Yeah. And I think for sure, that's just something we have learned over time, which definitely wasn't the same as, my dad was in the same job all the way till retirement. So he had, obviously they're going to take care of him and with retirement benefits and so on, but there was no change in that. And for when my husband and I were first married and he stuck with his first job for a couple of years and then wanted to switch, it was a big mindset switch for even others giving us advice who are older than us. Like, well, you almost feel like you're a loser if you're going to move to a different position that's actually better for you and better paying and better opportunities. Whereas it's not, and I'm glad to see my kids. In fact, my son, my second born, who's 22, he has had the same job with a company for 2 years, and they have a very low turnover. So most people in that job stay with it till the end. And he had a better opportunity come up, and including being self-employed. So he's now being able to start his own work on the side, but then also work for somebody else who's giving him better opportunities. And they threw him a party because he lasted. This is his friends, not the workplace, but the friends said, "Hey, this is great that you're moving on. We're throwing you a party. You were there for 2 years." And I just thought how funny that was. Like 2 years is nothing, and it's to stick with a job that's a short amount of time. But nowadays, sometimes it did what its job. It was where it was supposed to be. And now you're moving on to a better place. And that should be celebrated if it's a step up.
Absolutely. Because I think sometimes when we try to take those risks, if we're not supported, if we don't feel like we're not making a horrible mistake, whether it's a job, whether it's even how we're choosing to raise our kids or different decisions in our household to change different routines and habits, coming out of our comfort zone, even if we know it's for the best, can still be so terrifying and so scary.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what are some of the things that you do for you, would you say, like on a daily basis? Obviously, with managing all these other parts of your life, finding time for Renee obviously is still important, right?
Yeah, I have a few things. I think what has become a really good routine for me is that I am up at 4 a.m, which I know some people are like, that doesn't sound good. But for me, I'm a morning person. My dad, my brother, the same way. We've just always woken up early. It's a little on the early side for 4 a.m., but I hop on a Zoom call with other ladies who are also business owners, and we basically were doing work sessions. So we were only checking in with each other twice in that phone call and seeing but then it's just focus time. So for me, it's easy for me to wake up because I know my friends are out there doing their work and we're on a Zoom call. And so I'm working, but I'm feeling like I'm in the room with other ladies who are doing the same thing. And then I end that. So from 4 to 5:30, I stop and my husband and I go to the gym. And that's actually what I look forward to the most, because it is, for me now, it's become such a habit. It took a while. It wasn't like I could look forward to going to the gym, but now if I miss it, I really feel like I miss it. So it's definitely something I look forward to. And the way for me to get into that habit was the fact that there's a sauna there. So I thought, if I could just get there, and this is years ago, before I can get the routine of my weightlifting or cardio or whatever I'm doing, before that was really established, I thought there is a sauna there waiting for me. And all I need to do is get there and just do the bike for 20 minutes and then get to the sauna. I am in the sauna and I can just relax and listen to a podcast or do nothing, but just have that quiet moment. So that has become our time. Like that's just mom and dad time, and actually really me time because we're not working out together, but that's one of my favorite things I I look forward to 3 times a week. So
That's awesome. And I love that you share that, 4 a.m. might not be for everybody, but that's part of why we talk about these things, because getting to know yourself and knowing what works for you is how you're going to find what sticks for you. Because maybe, doing something that I do isn't going to work. Getting up at 4 a.m. might not be for somebody else, but knowing what works for you is how you're going to stay the most consistent, find the most joy, and get the most benefits from it. And the fact that you've combined a couple things, like some productivity, but some social connection, some date time, even on the car ride probably, as well as your own personal movement. I think sometimes we forget that we can kind of combine and habit stack a little bit when it comes to some of these different things, as well as, like you said, the habit doesn't always come easy, but the consistency is what makes it key.
Yeah. And another, I love the Voxer app just for connecting. So I know some people use Marco Polo with the video. I like Voxer because I can just leave those little messages and chat with friends throughout the day and just check in. So I feel like that connection with friends to me is also just feels like that me time. And sometimes it's just, and another habit stacking thing is, I found out a couple of years ago, I was really low in vitamin D, even though we are in California, but I would just go and sit in my lounge chair and just Vox a few friends, see how they're doing, or listen to messages, get caught up, and I'm in the sun. And so it's even 20 minutes. That to me was my refresh time. I can go back in and get things done.
Yep. That's awesome. And definitely part of what I teach is that, your connection to others is part of your self-care. And I think we have to have a couple hours to go to dinner or all this time, when it can just be like 10 minutes of a little chit chat. Hey, thinking of you, and some support here and there. That can be a huge part of that social connection that does fill you up consistently throughout your entire day.
Yeah. And it's nice because it's free and it doesn't take a lot of time. So, and if you think about, if someone that you haven't heard from in a week reaches out and sends you a message or a text or a voicemail, it makes you feel good. So knowing that it's making, I get benefit out of it, but then knowing that telling a friend that you're thinking of her is just really fulfilling.
Absolutely. Because I think sometimes we can get caught up in the day to day, and all of a sudden you'll be like, oh my God, it's been 3 weeks since I had a real social interaction with anybody outside of work and my kids and my family and all that kind of stuff. So I love that you kind of incorporate that in. What are some of the things that you would say you're the most grateful for? Because I think that's another big part of self-care, is being able to really focus on that good and keep ourselves centered by the things that are working and not just what goes wrong.
Well, I would say I'm grateful for my husband for telling me how many things we could be grateful for, because there are days when I get very driven and busy, and I have my to-do list is so big. I want to get through all the things, and that could go on forever unless you put a stop to it and put a stop time and be done for the day. And so on days when things just don't go well and we feel, fear can set in, and anxiety about, oh my goodness, is this going to work or not work? And at the end of the day, we just think about the things that are working really well. And for us, I'm very, very grateful that all of our kids are doing well. And then I have to be aware that is not necessarily common. And there are times when either it's health, or it could just be, how the way kids are acting or whatever, that could be very difficult, but our kids get along really well with each other. All of our adult kids are making a living. I have one daughter that's very happily married, and I just love her, the husband that she married. And so for me, I kind of feel like, well, you know what, maybe we're not taking these lavish vacations. Maybe we don't have time to do this and that. And we have to keep a lot of balls, plate spinning.
Yeah.
And it seems constant. But then at the end of the day, when our kids who live nearby come over and we have a whole family lunch together, I can sit back, listen to the kids talk to each other and catch up. And I feel like that is my high. I feel like, okay, this is good. So that's the thing I have to always remember, is it's not always like that. So when it is, or just maybe outside of our family, things are going crazy, but then at the end of the day, seeing that things are going well with the kids and I don't need to worry about them is super good.
Yeah, no, that like you said, it's those things that sometimes we can take for granted and not really take that time to appreciate. I love that, you do just kind of sit back and just enjoy the sound probably of their laughter and take that mental snapshot, because it is so fleeting.
Yep.
So where can people find you? How can they find these lotion bars and get more information about MadeOn Skin Care?
Yeah, with the skincare, we have, I have free samples because I know it's unique, different. People who have to buy something online, can they trust it? Will it work for them? And skin is different for everyone. But if you have dry, cracked skin or the splits in your heels, this is the product for you. And if you go to hardlotion.com/freebie, FREEBIE, that is where you can try us out with a free sample. Just pay shipping. And it's a great way to try it out and see if you like it. Because I'm convinced you'll be back, but that's why we can do that.
and the link will definitely be in the show notes, because who doesn't want to definitely give it a try and see if it's going to work for you and find a fantastic new product.
Yeah. And it really is like a self-care thing, because your hands, I always tell people, your hands are your tools, whether you're, an entrepreneur, you're a mom, whatever you're doing, your hands are your tools. And if those are hurting because of the splits and the cuts, you can't do your job as well. So you might as well have them feeling really good. Same with your feet. You're walking places, you need to have your feet really clean and split free. So
and it's almost sandal season here in the Northeast too. So you definitely want good feet.
It is sandal season here. So in California, we're going barefoot already. So yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Renee. I am so excited we had the chance to chat, and definitely go check out MadeOn Skin Care. Check out the lotion bars, get your free sample, and hopefully you will love it as much as Renee and everybody else, because I think just being able to find something simple that works is the key to just kind of that consistency again of being able to have those soft hands, soft feet, and a simple life. Thanks so much again for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Please let me know any questions or comments that you have. Also, if you can please leave an Apple 5-star review so that this episode can be shared with more women. There's 2 quotes that I love. Alone we may be strong, but together we are stronger, as well as when women support each other, incredible things happen. So let's be stronger and incredible together, as well as maybe just have some fun along the way. Thanks so much, and talk to you soon. Bye.